Join us on the program right now. Very pleased to have with us Second Amendment attorney and scholar, Mr. Steve Holbrook. How are you, Steve?
Wonderful, Cam. How are you?
Excellent. Glad you could join us on the program. I mean, there's so many cases making their way through the various courts right now. It's hard for me to keep track of all of them, but the case we're talking about tonight is down in Louisiana, right? This is a New Orleans gun seizure case?
Yeah, it's instead of being a mass seizure against many people and against all private individuals, as in Katrina.
Yeah.
It's one person, but it unfortunately represents the policy of the police department down there. There's a gentleman named Earl Houston who 3 years ago they confiscated his firearm. There was a traffic stop. They arrested him on an unrelated charge. He went to court. They dismissed the charge, so he filed a suit to get his gun back because they wouldn't give it back. So then they arrested him again for the same thing, and then when it gets to court, then they just drop it because the prosecutor sees there's no merit to it. And so 3 years have gone by. His gun was seized in 2008, and the police claim they can keep it for 6 years if they want to do that. And there's a district court ruling that said that, gee, you don't have a Second Amendment right to any specific gun. You can just go out and buy another gun.
What?
That's crazy.
Wow. Yeah, so there's no reason for the police to keep his guns, but the lower court ruling was it doesn't really matter. Just go out and buy a new one.
Yeah, he said the police could keep his gun for as long as the statute of limitations lasts, which is 6 years. But it's obvious they're not going to prosecute. He wasn't guilty of anything, and the prosecutor knew that. And so they threw the charges out. And for them, and unfortunately, I'm afraid this represents probably a policy down there that the police they're just not going to give people's guns back when they confiscate them, and you have to file a lawsuit to try to get back. And then instead of just saving the taxpayers' money and giving the daggum gun back, their arteries harden, and they think they're going to make a point by keeping his gun.
Well, I mean, we've certainly seen that with those gun seizures in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. I mean, there are still people who don't have their guns back, right?
Well, a lot of them will never get them back. I mean, they were confiscated. They moved away. I mean, they suffered terrible tragedies down there. And if you had an old hunting shotgun and it's now rusty and you lost everything, you lost your house, you're probably not going to go back and get it. But
yeah.
But at least we got an order of a permanent injunction against New Orleans from seizing firearms. I mean, the listeners recall, I mean, the police chief went on television and said no private citizens can have guns. We're going to seize them all. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So the amicus brief that the NRA filed in this case, what arguments are you making, Steve?
Well, I think what really set us off was when the judge said that you don't have a right to your own specific gun and you can go buy another one.
Mm-hmm.
So we say, well, the Second Amendment refers to the right to keep arms. Sounds like it might be the one that you own. And then we went into a lot of the history because the time of the Second Amendment, when it was drafted, the framers had in mind the fact that the British had seized the guns of the private citizens. They tried to do it at Lexington and Concord, and right after that, they did it against all the citizens of Boston. They basically blackmailed them. They said, you can't leave the town, which was then occupied by British soldiers,
mm-hmm.
but you turn your guns in. So they made lists of the guns, and they acted like they were going to give them back. But then when the day ended, the troops surrounded Faneuil Hall where the guns were turned in, and they were all confiscated, never to be returned. Then we turned the clock forward to after the Civil War, in the South, guns were being seized that belonged to the newly freed slaves, and that was a big part of the impetus for the 14th Amendment. Those were their guns. And it sort of sounds like Marie Antoinette's statement, let them eat cake, when you hear something like, let them buy another gun. I mean, there's plenty of poor people who can only afford the gun they own.
Right.
And that's not even the point anyway. No matter how rich or poor you are, your gun is your gun. I mean, that's just basic property right, not to mention the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. All right, so this is in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals right now, or is this still at the state level, Steve?
Right. No, it's in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, which has been a friendly circuit for Second Amendment rights. They, right after 9/11, that long ago, they rendered the opinion of the United States versus Emerson, and it was the first circuit to really come forward and make clear the Second Amendment is an individual right. And that was well before the Supreme Court got involved in that issue. So we're hoping to get a favorable ruling. And I might note that the plaintiff in this case is represented by the ACLU of Louisiana, and they're a national organization, and for the last decades, at many times have been very anti-Second Amendment.
Oh, yeah.
Chapters that are that do believe in civil liberties of all kinds, including the Second Amendment, and this is one of those.
Well, that's good. I mean, I know a few years ago the ACLU down in Texas was working with the Texas State Rifle Association on a definition of traveling that was really being abused by some municipalities down there. So look, the more the merrier. I'm glad to see local ACLU chapters recognizing that there are actually 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights.
Well, that's right. This is not a partisan issue. We welcome everybody into the Second Amendment fold.
All right, Steve. Any idea when the Fifth Circuit may issue a ruling in this case?
Well, we're still in the briefing stage. We filed an NRA amicus brief. The plaintiff, who's now called the appellant, filed their brief, and so the City of New Orleans is not filing a brief for a few more weeks. And it'd be interesting to see how they try to defend that policy. I have to say that the judge in Louisiana who came up with that was quoting a U.S. District Judge in New York State. I mean, that does sound like something that might come from that state. Just based on the fact that the culture there politically is so anti-Second Amendment law for handguns that it's per se illegal, and it's only a defense if you have a license for it. You can't even own a handgun without a license, much less carry it.
Yeah. Well, listen, Steve, thank you again for all that you're doing on behalf of gun owners around the country, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you, Cam.
Have a great night. Steve Holbrook, Second Amendment attorney and scholar, joining us here on Cam and Company.